It's official. MoFi Gate is over. We think. And you've reached your vinyl resting place. This is Vinyl Community Podcasts.
All right, welcome back, buddies. We are the people who do this every other Thursday. We are Surface Noise. Got a couple regulars, and we've got a couple A-plus pinch hitters. And I was kind of bellying about kind of borrowing them from the Wednesday night basement stream. We'll kind of get into that. Let's go ahead and do introductions in case you haven't seen our show in forever, because it has felt like forever. It's been about a month. And the last one we had was an albatross of just nonsense, due in part to me, not our guest. This was, if you haven't seen that episode, go ahead and check that one out, because that one is actually getting monetized. So thank you very much, YouTube. If you are not into the hootenanny, we've got it for you. Go with our guests. Let's start with always by my side, man from the state of New York currently, but he's been all over the world. It's Arnaldo. His channel is Fidelios_frequency. Arnaldo, what's a good word, sir?
Hey, Chance. Hey, guys. Hey, everybody out in the audience and the peanut gallery. You know, Chance, drama sells. So
Arnaldo, please don't use my name. Please don't use my name. My name is Concert Buddie. I don't want no doxing. I don't want any perceived doxing. Please use my name, Concert Buddie. Thank you.
Okay, Concert Buddie.
Thank you.
I.E.
With an IE. That's right. Branding.
That's
Hashtag
right.
branding. Hashtag branding. And then before I introduce our guest stars, the man from Austin, Texas, home of Torchy's Tacos. I'm so looking forward to getting some Torchy's in a few months. Jason Roxas, also in our absence, started your own stream. So is the band breaking up? What's going on here?
No, the band's not breaking up, you know? No way. Come on. Be hopeful, Concert Buddie. Be hopeful. You know?
I'm trying to be an optimist, but I've seen the writing on the wall. You know, the lead singer does some side projects, and then comes. It's a Rob Thomas. You're either Rob Thomas or Surface Noise, because you're doing your own solo thing, and then you come back to the band because we need to eat. We still need a check, and then you keep doing your solo thing. I can see it. I can see the band breaking up on this one.
No. I'm just, you know, the fact that I want to spin records and like DJ, you know? So I think that's like bringing back the music, you know, more.
We don't like that.
Hopefully I can do that maybe like on a Sunday or a Saturday morning, you know? So
to be determined. You know what I thought, and I don't mean to sidetrack us, but what if you did it right after this show? What a lead in. If the people couldn't get enough Jason Roxas, then for an hour after Surface Noise, you just spun the shit out of those decks. Just a thought. Just a thought. And then our guest stars. Guest stars like, remember Melrose Place? Heather Locklear was like a guest star permanently. That's what I always think about when I think of guest star. She was a permanent guest star.
Yeah.
We're going to start with the guest star who looks the most like Heather Locklear. It's Jason Arsenault. Jason, so glad to get you up on panel. What's going on, sir?
Not much. This is awesome. This is like a nascent YouTube career. Thank you very much.
Listen, you're going to leave us all behind too. I mean, I feel like it's like you're running a race and you get a head start, and then here comes the real talent and they just smoke you. It's like Michael Johnson in the gold shoes. So I'm like, I'm doing pretty good. And here comes this upstart from Canada, Jason Arsenault, and he's laying wind to these jabronis. And speaking of upstarts,
speaking of jabronis,
well, no, I wasn't speaking of jabronis. I was saying speaking of upstarts, another sensational new channel in the YouTube vinyl community sphere. Somebody who actually I met a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
It was like that scene from Predator. Like we almost did the Arnold and Carl Weathers. We didn't have our biceps oiled up enough, so we held off. But that's Alex. His channel is Beer and Vinyl. Alex, how are you doing?
It's better than being like that scene in To Catch a Predator. That's a different thing. But
so Alex, why don't you have a seat over there? How about that?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we could do that. Hey, it's good to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Thanks for having me.
Man, this guy is a pro. That's why I'm saying, Arnaldo, you see this? These guys has come in. They're ready to just take the food off our table. They're ready to just smoke us in the race that is YouTube supremacy. Well, let's get to some comments before we get into the topic, because it has been a minute. And I want to thank everybody for not only remembering we do this, but for coming in. And I see PB Thal's already hot in the chat. He's already busting out a couple. We gotta give him he's stealing some of my catchphrases that I've been working on for a month. The albatross of nonsense. That's correct. We're going to get that on a t-shirt. Side note, Alex was kind enough to give me a t-shirt. You can't really see. I'm going to make myself big. So I've actually, hang on. Look at this. Look at that.
Look at that. Thanks for wearing it, man.
If this doesn't increase your sex appeal by 0.17%, I don't know what will. So. It's a delight.
You should cut off the sleeves and make it like a workout shirt.
That's my hope. After I wash it, it's probably going to like change. You know, it's going to be like the fibers are going to change, and then I'm just going to like tear up sides. Like I'm going to go to a gas station, you know what I mean, and just hang out for the whole day. Yeah, I mean that's what you do. You got a sleeveless shirt. You got to go to the gas station and just like bother people. So,
yep.
Oh, hang on, PB Thal again. Take a drink every time the word monetize is uttered. Yes. See, Jason came prepared. Arsenault is ready. And beer and vinyl. Alex, I hope you've got the suds. Oh no, this guy. He's no. Good, yeah. Oh, see, these young guys, they'll get it. After that first year, they're not going to miss a step. But the first year, you're still going to have some hiccups. Now, hang on a second. I see in the comments we got a question already. Easy now, 27. Are we live or rehearsal? I'm working through the rust of how this presentation works. So
wrong question. Is this real life or is this fantasy?
Wow, that just happened. Look at this guy. Now, hang on a second. I like where Rich is at. VU Meters, also a new channel, emerging talent in the vinyl community.
That's a great channel.
Great channel. Great head of hair. Great channel. Great listening area. He says, "Go Hulk Hogan style with the 3 cuts in the back." I mean, that's a pretty good idea, but the last thing anybody needs is me ripping the shirt off and then you seeing my dad bod, because this luscious dad bod has got me in trouble. That's all I'm going to say. So let's get to the topic du jour. So if you're familiar with our programming, we like to have a little bit of a structured conversation to begin, and then after a minute, we freestyle, talk about anything and everything. And boy, I've got the oven mitts on the ready. I was telling the fellas beforehand, I've got a hot take. I've got a couple hot takes. We're going to see how hot they get. And one of them is aimed at Salina, Kansas. So get ready.
Ouch.
Coming in hot. Hot.
Boy.
That's what we call a deep tease. So if you stick around, you're going to find out.
Like, that's a different thing entirely. Right?
Here.
I want to shout out Bill K. Bill K, have you ever been on the program this late? Bill K says, chance still the pot loud. Chance don't still the pot loudly. Yes. But I'm glad to see it. All right. So we did this, I don't know, a few months ago, and full credit to the Podfather, Bill Simmons. And he does kind of a segment or a talk on some of his sports related podcasts called Overrated, Underrated, Properly Rated, talking about sports stuff. So we borrowed it because, that's kind of what we do around here, or at least I do. And the idea was talking about bands, I think the first time. Bands or artists. And Arnaldo could not wait to throw Beyonce's name in the mud. I think Beyonce just got savagely taken down. Let's just be honest. So we couldn't have that. The lawyers got a hold of us. Sean Carter's a very powerful man, so we didn't want to run into that again. But we also didn't want to silence Arnaldo because we do believe in free speech. We also believe in cartoon parodies. So those two things notwithstanding, we decided to mix it up a little bit. And we're going to talk about albums. Now, this could be very controversial, so I hope you have a beverage in hand. I think Alex is now beveraged up. Are we good? Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Because it's going to get salty, it's going to get dicey, it's going to get thirsty. Arnaldo, is that straight gin? What do we?
No.
Wow. All right. So I'm going to start with Alex. Why don't you pick of those 3? No. You'll get us started because this is what guests do. And this is what, I want to set the table. I'll give you each the first run of the dice. Do you want overrated, underrated, or properly rated? Kick us off.
You know what? All right. Before I start, I hate this topic. So I just want because here's why. I don't know. Chance, I don't know if you watch my channel.
I do. I just watched a wonderful interview you had with Terry Cole from Plaid Room Records and Coal Mine Records. I highly recommend people check it out.
Yeah, and speaking of which, my Sincere's pre-order shipped today, so I'm hoping to get that maybe by this weekend since it's coming from just down the street.
Boom.
It's released on Friday. Okay, so here I'm going to start with Overrated. Now, here's my caveat here. I struggle with the whole overrated thing. I think underrated and properly rated is easier. I just really struggle with overrated because it's like overrated for who? Well, obviously, probably for the person presenting it, but to me, it's like it's easy to pick an artist that you just don't like who's huge and say, well, it's overrated or that album's overrated. But like, yeah, but if I don't like the album or the artist at all, then I don't know if that's fair. So as we went into this, I like this record. I like this record a lot. Some of my favorite songs from this artist are on this record. But to me, this was the example of an album that sold a gazillion copies on the strength of 2, maybe 3 singles. And to me, the rest of the record is weak to fine. And again, it sold like 50 billion records and it's one of the highest selling albums of all time. And to me, it's of the 5 that they had released up to this point, the least quality, in my opinion. I'm going to 1985.
Wow.
And I'm going to Brothers in Arms from Dire Straits. I can't see reactions when I'm big like
hang on. I'm going to unbig you for a second because we need to see our panelists. Sorry, exit solo layout. Oh, so no.
Jason's gone.
Arnaldo is sick. He just made him sick. He's got to cover his face, Alex. Look at this.
Now, again, I like the album. I really did.
I knew it.
My favorite Dire Straits song is probably Telegraph Road, and my second is probably the title track. I love the title track. And again, let's take Money for Nothing and Walk of Life, right? They're huge, major hits, right? I mean, those are just absolute classic radio bangers, whether we're tired of them or not, whatever. But for me, I just struggle with the rest. To me, this is a record that sold a gazillion copies based on the strength of a couple of singles. That, to me, is just my thing. And again, I don't dislike the record. I like the record. I think it's a good to great record. I just struggle with it selling something. I think it sold over 30 to 35 million copies. I mean, it's huge, 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 huge. And again, more to just the strength of those handful of singles, in my opinion, not on the basis of the strength and consistency of the record itself. So yeah, we'll start with the hot take or whatever. I don't know how hot it really is.
That's about medium hot. That's like kerosene heater hot. We got Travis Foley, my man. He agrees with you. I think Wyoming Dave, again, back from the afterlife, he says he's tired of Walk of Life. So, if you've pissed off Wyoming Dave, you might as well just fold.
I was going to say, he also doesn't like the song either.
Wow. So, savage. Okay, so that's a good way to start it off. I think that was a moderate take. Panelists, Arnaldo, are you about to quit the stream? You had to cover your face. And you're on mute.
He's muted.
I was going to say I agree.
Oh,
I do agree.
Okay.
I can't name, apart from the songs that you just named, Brothers in Arms, Walk of Life, and Money for Nothing. I can't name the other songs on the album. It's sad because I also have the MoFi version, which sounds phenomenal, but I don't remember the songs. I don't remember the title.
But do you know it's digital, right?
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. I know that. Yeah. Well,
am I doing this by chance?
That album came out at right before the CD was big.
Yep.
And I believe that album was almost marketed along with the Philips CD player. You get a free copy of Brothers in Arms CD if you bought the Philips CD player.
It was the first CD to sell 1 million copies.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and it's, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to call it, what kind of rock to call it. It was definitely, I don't know, stadium rock, Jason. I don't know what you call it. But
can we give John Moreno a shout out? Because John said, he told me on the Instagram he's showing up and he came up big and he's already hitting us with the comedy. He says, "Hey Alex, does that album leave you in dire straits?"
Snooze rock. Someone said snooze rock.
Snooze rock. John, A plus, my friend. All right. Well, let's go around the horn then, because the take was a medium take. Arsenault, you're up next.
Okay.
Overrated album. Give it to us.
Okay, so like like a bit of a preamble here. First off, I like the album. In fact, I credit this album with the direction that I kind of took in life with music and the first band I loved.
Holy shit.
Oh,
the take was so
boy.
hot, it killed his internet. Oh, my God.
Don't worry, he'll be backstage here in a second. He does this.
All right. I've seen this move before. See, again, these first-year YouTubers, they don't have it all figured out yet. They may be running past us, but we catch them because we're steady eddies. All right, Rojas, help us out. Overrated album.
Up there.
Overrated album. We got to go to the other Jason on this one.
Overrated?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. It was a tie. Should I? Let's just give this to the audience right now. Should I be kind or unkind?
I mean, come on, Brand, I think, is unkind at this point. So, Jason, I would expect nothing less than your very best unkind. Let's rip it.
Okay, most overrated album. Are you ready?
Hit it.
This is the most overrated album ever. Okay? I'm guilty because I bought this. I'm holding it. I'm holding this.
Can you tell our visually impaired viewers what exactly you're holding there?
Yes, this is Kirsten Edkins' Shapes and Sound, and this is on the Coherent Records label. Mastered and produced.
Why do I know that
Kevin
name, Jason?
Baseman
Coherent.
Gray.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
So if you're not coherent enough to listen to the greatness of the bass and the mid-range hump, you know. So I was curious, everyone hyped it up. I was wrong.
I can't say I disagree with you on that one, Jason, only because, well, a couple things. And I've said this. Very, very nice lass. Very nice musician. I was right there with you. Try something new. I appreciate the attention to detail. Oh, here he is. Hang on. Well, no, Arsenault is really psyching us out. I see his face backstage, and then he vanishes. But since Arsenault is still slow to respond, Jason, what was the other one that you had up? Because he said it was a tie. So give us the goodies.
This was like the Mean Girls version, right? Okay, let's be honest here. And then this was like the nice guy version, like one of the most.
Wow, what is this? What are those?
It's everywhere, If this came out on a reissue, like announced today, you would get 20, 40 VC channels just blabbing about this. They couldn't let it go, Gosh.
So Sgt. Pepper's is what Jason held up there. And these are two scorching takes. Let's go back to the Kirsten Edkins real quick, because Jeffrey Bowman has that one hell of a comment. The gallery's bringing the fastball. Says her bangs are underrated, however, great bangs.
They are. I agree, Jeffrey. Great bangs.
You can't argue with that. That's a strong bang play. All right, hang on. Arsenault, you back? There he is.
I don't even know when I got cut off. That's the worst part of it all.
Well, the good news is we had this is the power of having two Jasons, is that if the internet kills one of them, we just summon the other one right up. And I've got you guys right in Jason Row right there. Speaking of other Jasons, you ready for this? Spins Vinyl Jason, who has been a guest on this program, has shown up. He's also having look at this. This is what we call a symbiotic plug, a Whatnot auction at 2 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday the 16th. You're welcome, Jason. Boom.
All I have to say is just wait till the 45 RPM version on 2 LPs. They got you.
If
they make a 45 RPM of the Kirsten Edkins thing,
wait. You just wait.
Okay. So question though, did you guys do Hackensack West? Like, are you going to, do you plan on listening to it first?
Can I just interrupt you? I hate this. This whole Hackensack West thing is, I think, a bit pretentious.
All right, Arnaldo, the floor is yours.
Hackensack is a town in New Jersey. If you don't live in a Hackensack in California, then you can't call it Hackensack West.
So I don't disagree with you, but I'm just talking about the album.
It's a delight.
Also, because there's no Hackensack East.
They should call it, since it's California, they should call
Hackensack,
it
New Jersey.
Hackensack West.
It's just Hackensack, New Jersey. There is no Hackensack East.
And Alex on cue, Easy Not 27 says hacky sack is fun. So
That's
I mean,
right.
boom.
Just call it hacky. Yeah, just call it playing bags out west or whatever.
And Kevin, me, myself, and my vinyl also has been on this dais before. Says I was born in Hackensack, New Jersey. So here we go. Look at this. This is what we call collaboration between the dais and the gallery. This is a beautiful thing. Now, Arsenault, I hope whatever was going on when you're off screen, when you're calling America Online or whoever your provider is, I hope you got it set up.
America Online.
So we're back to overrated albums. We got to cut off your preamble. You're halfway through. So hit us with the hotness. Or the notness. Oh, do you see what I just did there? Show us. What do you got? Overrated album, sir. Oh, tell us. The visually impaired love the show. Tell us.
Think that the debut album from the Velvet Underground is overrated. Now, I understand that it is the most influential album out there. And, the quote from Brian Eno was 30,000 albums sold, 30,000 people started a band. That's super cool. Love all that. I like the album. I like most of the songs. But in my opinion, it is not an album that I would sit through in sequence. And I think that is the hallmark definition of a great album, of a really great album is something you want start to finish. Now, you could argue that a great album is something that is highly influential, definitely meet the mark. But I think there's just a few tracks on there that are a little too out there for me. Maybe I'm just too plain Jane with my music taste. I don't know. But, if I have to turn down because some of the screechy viola type of work that's going on there is getting to me, then I can't.
You should try the second album.
The greatest album ever. Yeah. So, great album, March. You all know the story about, the Andy Warhol connection to all this. And I'm sure there's a lot of really juicy, awesome details in the liner notes of all those albums. And I'm sure there's great books on it. I have them. But for me, it's a band I love because the first band I ever fell in love with was The Doors. And these guys were kind of credited as sort of being the preamble to darker sort of music before The Doors started. So that's how I got the Velvet Underground. But again, it could be the most influential album ever. It wasn't popular at the time. And, the 70s hit and everyone started to kind of revisit it. They said that, it was before its time. Now that they spurred so many new bands, everyone's like, no, that album is great. And it is a great album. There's a lot of great songs on that. I'm Waiting for the Man is an incredible pop song. The song Heroin, that's about as out there as I get. There's some pretty screechy stuff on the end of that, but that was a very heavily played song. But when I got the album, I put it on and can't get into the experimental art rock nature of some of the tracks. So yeah, I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but I will say for sure that it is a highly influential album. I just don't think it is rated as high as far as the musical content is concerned.
It don't scratch your itch. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, we said at the beginning, it's a subjective. Nobody is going to come and send you the nasty grams. You may get some trolls on your channel, but that comes with the territory new one. So get ready. All right, Arnaldo, overrated album, rip it.
You ready? Trout Mask Replica, Captain Beefheart.
Oh, wow.
Yes, this left a couple people speechless when we pulled it out for Jason. You remember for Mazzy's whack-a-mole at my place? I still don't get this album. It's a fantastic cover.
Mm-hmm.
And I went out of my way to try and find the Third Man pressing of it, which I have to say, I have to show this. Unfortunately, the people on the podcast won't be able to see it.
This is true.
Probably one of the most beautiful pieces of vinyl that I've ever seen.
Okay.
You probably can't see it, but it's called Fruitcake, and unfortunately, you can't see it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe I need to live with it a little bit longer. Maybe I need to listen to it more often.
on that one. I had access to a copy. It wasn't an original or anything like that, but it was a pretty old one. And I knew that it was a very important album. Like so many albums out there, the iconic album art just sort of reaches out to you and says, apparently it's important. And I streamed it, and I just couldn't get into it enough to grab the album and bring it home. But
well, Wyoming Dave has been awoken, and he says that Trout Mask replica wasn't even a top-selling album when it was released.
But you look at, I mean, when I was growing up and I was buying music magazines in the 80s and 90s, and they would do these retrospective best albums of the 60s, best albums of the 70s. This is the 60s, right? Is it 69 or 68? Yeah, 68. It was in every one that I was looking at, and it was always in probably the top 20 albums. And I was like, what is this album about? Then I understood the involvement of Frank Zappa, so I decided to check it out. And maybe I'll have to spin it a little bit more because I still don't get it.
No, listen, don't walk away from these hot takes. Stand your ground, be firm. Don't let any of the tomatoes that are coming change your mind. So we'll round this one out. I won't say a lot about this one because I already kind of teased the guys on this one. But for me, Overrated. I just, a lot of the same cues that you're hearing from everybody else. I just don't get this. This is Genesis selling England by the pound. I just don't get this. I even before I was like, you know what? I don't want to go up there and say it's overrated and then have a change of heart. You don't want to be at the edge of the diving board and then chicken out. But I listened to a little bit of this today. This is Ritter, and I just don't get it. It's prog, I think. Alex, you're the prog man. Would you consider this prog?
Yeah, I think most people would.
Yeah, I wish most people would consider it trash because I just don't get it. It is not.
Wait a minute here. Wait a minute. Do you like Phil Collins? Do you like Peter Gabriel?
I like both of those guys, Jason. Here's the problem. You would think it's like the Mega Powers, Hogan and Savage teaming up would be unstoppable, but they must have been out to lunch when they made this one because it was a bunch of yah and yee and stuff I can't even get with. And the worst part isn't this part of the Atlantic? Didn't they reissue this one? Wasn't this one of the Ballyhoo titles as part of the Atlantic 75? What a waste of a roster spot. They could have done another Stone Temple Pilots album. They could have done something that really would have tickled my fancy. Instead, they put out this big turd. So Genesis selling England by the pound. I mean, this is right. Now, hang on, Patrick. I knew you were coming because I know you like this record. Patrick says that is a great record. Yeah, it's a great record for people with terrible taste. That's all I'm going to say because this is not good.
Oh, didn't you? Yeah, it's one of my favorite albums of all time. Didn't you buy a Hootie and the Blowfish record when you were here?
That's right. So Alex, you know what that tells you? I have a very wide taste of variety in music, and that one just can't get me.
Because that was the guy that wrote Wagon. We were talking about that was the guy who wrote Wagon Wheel, right?
Oh, Hootie? Yeah, Darius Rucker, I believe so. Yeah, 100%. Now, see, John Moreno coming in, big turd, laugh emojis. Bill K, it's just not for everyone. That's true. Listen, if you like it, and I'm just kidding Patrick because I know he likes it a lot. I think even Bianco likes it a lot. So no offense, fellas, just not for me. I'm sure you would look
I can imagine this right now. Concert Buddy writing Chad an email, right? Hey, Chad, that's selling England by the pound, thumbs down, I kind of wish you would have done, the second Hootie and the Blowfish or the first Kid Rock album.
Now, hang on a second. So David Bianco, in the comfort of his own pajamas, couldn't be bothered to be on the dais. He's trying to hit me with a hot one. He says, selling England is for the informed listener. Do I have to hold my pinky like this when I say this? Selling England is for the informed listener in the day. 90s folks just don't get so much. Wow, David. Unbelievable. You couldn't be bothered to join us. Tell me to my face about being an informed listener. I got you. Oh, and listen here. Melinda Murphy recently featured on the podcast. Hello, Melinda. How's it going? Good to see you. Welcome.
I mean, not to keep pushing back on this chance, but, Bertha Fifth is one of the greatest, compositions in the history of, the last 50 years. I mean, it's just, you're hurting me, man, when you talk about that. So,
Alex, I hate to say this, But we may have to ban you. You may be a one and done, man. You may be a one and done on.
Listen, you're just like every other girl I've ever talked to.
We may have to make this the shortest run. There have been a couple people up here only for a couple minutes, so I think you've already got them beat. But it would be a close one. All right, next topic. So Arsenault, you're up. You're the guest. So you've got the other two. You've got underrated or properly rated. And hang on, before we get this, I do want to call this out because I always like it when new people join us. Someone called Time Monitor says more than 4 chords is too much. Thanks for joining us, Time Monitor. Thank you for your appearance. All right, Arsenault.
Call that a clock.
Tell us what you think.
80s albums. I don't know jack about the 80s, and I own very little. And I'm actually this album is not indicative of the 80s at all. Studio album. This is September 1982. This is a properly rated album. You could almost argue, because I love it so much, that I would call it underrated. But when you look at the information that's available out there,
hang on, which one are you choosing? I got to put up the graphic. Listen, I'm the producer and the host.
Properly rated.
Thank you.
Rated albums, and I'm going with my favorite album by this artist, and that Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska.
Okay,
nice.
All right. Okay, and tell us why. Why is it properly rated, sir?
Because I guess, it was between the river and border. I guess my argument falls a little bit flat because you can't really say that it doesn't sound like Springsteen because he hadn't really had that sound yet per se. But he had the E Street Band, he had done some work with them and actually did a little bit of work on these tracks. And there's apparently some kind of some hidden reels of music out there where they actually tried to reinterpret this and add to it. But he said, no, let's just do it myself. But I guess it's probably, I don't know, it was like the time, 82, and this guy releases pretty much a solo acoustic album. There's some other instruments on there. He's doing all of them. And he just, I don't know, it just seems to really, really connects in a time you wouldn't think it would connect. He's talking all the different themes on this. Like you got personal turmoil, you got the sad blue collar kind of people, crime and murder and everything else. It's a very dark album, but it got great ratings. That's got to say something, right? Like 4-track recorder. I love this story, how he put on a 4-track, puts it on the tape. The tape gets carried around with him for a few weeks in his car. Like he just haphazardly throws it in the car. It's in his jeans, it's in his coat. Doesn't think much to do with it. Like he could have lost it easily and we would have never Springsteen, right? Darkness, Edge of Town and the river have some kind of, elements to that. But ultimately Springsteen put out some high quality, like super high quality work. I found it interesting when I was looking in. He didn't tour for this album, and only one other album he didn't tour for was Western Stars in 2019. Which I think is kind of telling. Like I don't know what that means as an artist. Like if you decide not to tour for an album, like I don't know what they're sending, or if it was just like I can't tour for this, it's too dark and nasty, and who's going to come and listen to it? But anyway, third best album in 82, 43 out of 100 albums for the 80s, 150 on the Rolling Stone. It's got great reviews, it's got great rankings if that stuff matters to you. I think it deserves it. I think it deserves a lot of love, and I think anyone that likes Springsteen and like the Clown needs to revisit this album or just visit it first time and understand the depths of this guy's heartache and anguish and what he's capable of producing on that level.
Good take. I like it. All right, Alex, what do you got? You're up next.
So yeah, I mean, I struggled.
And hang on, before you start, PB Thal is really upset. I knew this was going to happen. He said, "You guys," and it was me. I want to be honest. He said, "You guys are trashing selling England, but championing Nebraska. For fuck's sake!" It's just me.
I was worried about Patrick tonight. I was worried he would be here.
Listen. Patrick bringing the high salt, the high sodium diet to the live stream, and I appreciate it. Spins, you already out? Oh no, hang on. Spins is already leaving. We've already pissed him off. He says, "Great show. I got to check out so I can finish getting ready for my Whatnot show this Saturday." Oh, that's a hell of a plug if I've ever seen one. He needs,
yes.
He needs like the Mike Tyson Little Mac montage of running up and down the ocean to train for the Whatnot. But he's going to be giving away $400 worth of banger records at Whatnot, March 16th, 2 p.m. Pacific. So be there or don't get $400 worth of awesome records. Alex, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Let's go. Properly rated.
I understand you have priorities here. So yeah, I mean, I struggle with this one because it's like, I'm like, it can't be a record that's too polarizing, right? Because if it's polarizing, probably a ton of people love it, and then a ton of other people hate it. So they would see it as both underrated and overrated, that whole thing. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this is tough because I didn't want to go after one of the most successful or highest selling records of all time. And actually, I'm glad that Arnaldo showed what he showed because there's a connection here. But this is one of my favorite artists. It's not Captain Beefheart, but it is the producer of that record that he showed. So I'm going to go with Hot Rats.
Whoa, Zappa.
From Frank Zappa. I mean, it's my favorite record from Zappa. I think it's a record that for Zappa fans might be sometimes, for the jazz fusion side of Zappa fans, it might be the obvious pick. I think for people trying to get into Frank, it's a good introduction into Frank, especially, again, those sort of fusion eras that he was doing at the time in the late 60s and early mid 70s. So yeah, I mean, this doesn't show up obviously on rate my music, top 20 up there with like Pet Sounds and Abbey Road. But I think for the music nerd and the record nerd, I think this sits pretty well in how it's appreciated and respected for an artist that was incredibly prolific and still putting out like 3 records a year. So yeah, I'm going to go with Hot Rats. I think it's properly rated amongst sort of the canon that is Zappa.
So side question for you, sir. Did you see the Alex Winter documentary, and what'd you think, if you did?
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. I have to go back. I saw it once and remind myself, I was like, I need to go and do this again. But I did like it, yeah. Fair
enough. Now, Music Talk with John is on the ground. He's doing some reporting for us here at the Vinyl Community Podcast. And, on Fridays, he does wonderful videos about what's new in the record store. They're not Esposito level, but I kind of like them. They're a little bit more focused than Mike is. But he says PB Thal is still in a bad mood from YouTube giving him the boot on his live stream last night. Wow, that really happened? Patrick, I'd being a bad boy, the bad boy of live streaming? Come on now. Let's not. We don't need another Fred Dobbs get your channel shutting down situation. So, all right, Arnaldo.
It's my turn. Okay, so we're at properly rated.
Properly rated, yes, sir.
Okay, one of my favorite artists and probably my favorite album of hers, and I think it's the consensus is unanimous amongst critics, at least, and fans. Even the critics had praise when this album came out. And I'm talking about Ray of Light.
Ray of Light, nice.
To say her, not reawakening, how do you want it? Her spiritual awakening, when she got into the Kabbalah. She had just had her first daughter, started reevaluating life and priorities in life, produced by William Orbit, who, according to her, was kind of like a mess in terms of organization. He wasn't very organized, but produced an amazing album. What was this called? Not really. It's kind of electronica. Let's call it electronica or pop, sure. Electronic pop.
Sounds good.
Classic tracks. Drowned World, Substitute for Love, Ray of Light, Skin, Frozen.
Frozen's the one.
Amazing. Yeah. I don't know where to start. She sings in Sanskrit on one of these songs. And but the last song, Mer Girl, is almost a cappella. It's probably the least commercial track Madonna's ever made. A song dedicated to her daughter, Little Star. I think Mer Girl actually references her mom, who passed away when she was young. I could go on and on with this.
Yep.
Definitely one of her best albums, I would have to say.
Okay. Yeah.
So Madonna, Ray of Light, properly rated.
Properly rated. So Jason Roxas, there he is. I thought you were in the toilet. So it's your turn, Jason. Tell us properly rated album according to sadvinyl.com.
Okay, properly rated. This is I'm sorry. No, maybe it is properly rated.
I think Michael
Maybe.
Framer, I Can Take a Joke album. I think it's way underrated. Way
the
underrated.
answer is he can't, so you can see that he can't. Properly rated, D.D. King.
Okay.
Properly rated. Neither bad nor good, you know? If you're in a punk band, your name is Dee Ramone, and you want to challenge yourself by doing a rap record, you know? Properly rated.
So at first, I gotta be honest, I thought that was like Corey Feldman's look from Dream a Little Dream, because, you know, it's very, the hat is what got me.
Let's just go deeper, you know? The deeper part is the inner sleeve, you know? This is going to show you like greatness here. You know?
Look at that boombox. I love it.
You know, so D.D. King, if you know about this record, he thought that he could do anything, right? So, you know, D.D. Ramone became, you know, he felt he had the blues in him, so D.D. King, right? So there was already a B.B. King, why not D.D. King? Okay.
Jason, I think you're winning the race. I think that is a
Properly rated.
Properly rated. I like it. All right, properly rated, guys. So this band. So I watched a live stream recently about grunge, and I won't give my full commentary on it, but it did make me think a little bit. But also, this album was recently reissued, courtesy of our friends at Acoustic Sounds, and it sounds terrific. That's what I'll say on the positive end. Stick around for the freestyle when I'll really hit you with some of the sauce or what I think about some of this. But Stone Temple Pilots, Core. Now, I had to be very careful because this is one of my favorite albums, period. So I had to try to be a little objective because, you know, there's so much heat that came out right around this time. You know, you've got Nirvana, you've got Sound. There's so much, the grunge, true grunge coming up from the Pacific Northwest. But, I mean, there's not a bad song on here, my opinion. But fantastic. These guys started in San Diego. There's Mighty Joe Young. Sure, you know about Scott Weiland's Trials and Tribulations, one of my favorite frontmen from that era. And then Brendan O'Brien produced this. And Brendan O'Brien, if you're a 90s, I know David Bianco is allergic to 90s music, but if you know 90s music, Brendan O'Brien touched so much. He touched Rage Against the Machine, the Black Crowes, Shake Your Moneymaker. I think he did the first couple Crowes albums. Temple of the Dog, several of the Pearl Jam albums, like Versus through, I think the next 4 or 5 albums, more Stone Temple Pilots, et cetera, et cetera. So, and it was interesting as I was listening to this when I was traveling recently, and like online they have like the deep cuts. You know, I think there was a vinyl reissue that had some of these deep cuts, so they had like the demos and alternate takes, and they did some interesting renditions of some of the signature songs. I don't want to spoil for anybody, but anyway. Stone Temple Pilots Core, fantastic. This is why I was excited when this got announced as one of those titles, because it is 45 RPM, 2 discs, and it does, again, I like the way this reissue sounds. It's great. I think it first came out on vinyl maybe like 6 or 7 years ago for Record Store Day. It was on 1 disc, is okay. Subsequent reissues have been solid, but not great. I think this definitely sounds fantastic, but stick around for the freestyle and I'll tell you what I think of the cover of this. See how that works. Boom shakalaka. All right. Now we've come to the last one. And that would be, well, hang on. Let's see what the gallery says first. Let's see if they're taking me over the coals on this one. I'm hoping they are. I'm ready to fight. Velvet cover was the most appealing. Okay, David. Let's see. Your best thing. Oh, no, we got some.
That was good.
Let's see. Let's see here. Commentary. You don't get it. Oh, my goodness. There's so much. Oh, Patrick, that is a great record. He probably wasn't talking about the one I showed. He was probably talking about what Arnaldo had up. But let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Oh, hang on. PB Thor wants to know if that was cut by Kevin Gray. Actually, no. That was cut by, I believe, Ryan K. Smith, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. But anyway. All right.
So it probably sounds really good.
Ryan K. Smith's he's on a hot streak right now. I got to be honest, because side note, I was a late bloomer to the Ryan K. Smith experience, but he's putting out some quality stuff, and I'll leave it at that.
Great.
Did you just think it was the guy who did Clerks the whole time? Is that like what was?
I think that's his brother, and then his other brother, Daryl Smith, who had a a great run on Newhart, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so that's for the olds. That's for the olds. The olds got that Newhart joke. But all right,
David
last
comment,
one.
right on.
For sure. All right, last one. I got to switch this over. So now underrated. So this can go a lot of different ways. But Rojas, why don't you kick us off with underrated album as I get this comment off of here?
Okay, underrated record. Now, this is a very underrated record. This is my record from 2007.
Oh my God, this is that's the record you can't find anywhere in stores. Psychedelic Horseshit.
We'll throw this out. That's fine. This is underrated. Broadcast 2005. This is like very poppy and very noise rock at the same time. Underrated, definitely. Like if you like maybe a more melodic version of Sonic Youth, this is it. Unfortunately, the lead singer, she passed away a couple years after this and they were done. So you can still get this for cheap, I think, maybe under 25, I think.
Oh, good. Okay.
And fantastic.
Jason, is there any truth to the rumor the singer was killed after listening to Genesis Selling by the Pound? I'm just asking for a friend.
No, I think she was killed by listening to this record.
Oh, the Michael Frummer. Oh, yeah, that one is that one pushes people over the edge for sure. Look at that. Look at that photo. Oh, I'm getting hypnotized. Don't do that to me, Jason. I'm falling for the trap, the audiophile trap.
Chance, you missed England when you were saying selling England. Selling by the pound. It was the name. It was the name of my tape as a sex worker. I'm done with that album. I'm trying to get it out of my mind. It was almost out, and I had to pull it back in for that joke. So I'm sorry I missed the title of that seminal album. But anyway, all right. Well, Jason, that's a good one. That's interesting. Underrated.
So the album's called Tender Buttons. It's called Broadcast.
And it's under $25, still available. I like it.
Yes.
This is one. Now this is my favorite name of the VC by far. Depeche Mode, and it has the avatar to follow suit. It says, "Jason, I love that Broadcast album." Great taste.
Thank you. I mean, this record's good too, but let's not promote it.
Jason, if I was looking for a psychedelic horseshit album, where would I go? Would I go? Discogs. I'm having mixed feelings about Discogs lately. Is there anywhere else that would sell such a highly coveted recording?
I don't know. I'll have to find some for you. It's out of print. Maybe we can get it remastered by Kevin Gray.
Was it on tape or was it digital?
It was on tape.
It was on tape. Wow, we should have a UHQR done.
We could only pray,
Pray for Gray. Hashtag pray for Gray. All right, Alex, beer and vinyl. Is that PBR you're sipping on?
Always. All right. So, since Chance, you walked us so beautifully into the prog world and then kept labeling the prog guy. I was thinking with underrated stuff of who are some of my favorite artists, and do I find myself gravitating towards their most well-known and most well-respected albums in the grand scheme of things. So that was kind of how I approached this, and this was the first one that kind of came to mind. And interesting. So I'm talking about the band Yes, and I think most Yes fans are going to be close to the edge. One of the greatest progressive rock albums of all time, and Fragile or Fragile because it's Italian, or the Yes album, or even Relayer for the jazz cats out there. But I was thinking to myself, I love all those albums. Those are all so great, and and I've heard them a million times. But to me, I can't get over how much I love this album, especially because it shouldn't make as much sense as it does. Because at this point in their career, they're changing lineups again. They're coming off a pretty not great record at the time. And it's what do you do, guys? We're one of the biggest progressive rock bands in the world. So what do? Let's call over the guys from Video Killed the Radio Star and make drama. And this is my pick. This is Yes Drama from 1980. And this, I think when it came out, a lot of people, I wasn't alive in 1980, but people were like, what is this? So yeah, they bring in Jeff Downs and Trevor Horn over from The Buggles. And put this record out, and I freaking love this album. I love it, and I find myself listening to it probably more than Fragile or
Wow.
more than some of those other ones. I'm not saying it's better. I just think that it is a mid to later, I'm not going to say later career because they're still putting out records, but I just don't think it's a record that is as appreciated or respected or rated as highly in the Yes canon. But I think it's great. I think this is an absolutely amazing album and one of my favorites. So yeah, I'm going to go with Yes Drama as my pick.
I like it. All right, Arsenault, what do you got? Underrated album, sir.
Underrated. To me, this is I just wanted to show it because I can't stop listening to it. I'd say in the last 6 months, Alex, you probably know where I'm going with this. I've listened to this album, in particular the first 2 tracks, more than anything in the past year, hands down. Of the UK, March 1969, didn't even make the UK's top 100 or whatever. It was 197 in the US, and that's the debut album by Free. Tons of sobs.
Yeah.
So this is like I'm a huge blues nut. I'm a huge British blues nut, and this is like British blues, perfect. Like just done so well. And these are like the best part is the story. Teenagers. The bass player was 16 years old when they recorded this. Like these are teenagers that formed a band that went into a studio, and the producer said, "Here's $1,000. Let's get this done." So next to nothing, and they throw down some friggin' killer tracks of their own and like 2 massively classic blues covers. And in any event, the title track, or not the title track, sorry, the lead off track, minute kind of instrumental that leads into the second track, which is Worry, which is like my all-time favorite song, it seems, because I've listened to it so bloody often over the last 6 months. Anyway, Paul Rodgers, lead singer, he's ranked on the list of, again, ranking lists, who cares? But nonetheless, he was noted for like one of the best voices out there for lead singers. I can't get enough of this album. I don't think it gets enough love. Everyone knows a lot better, but if you're looking for classic British blues rock stuff, I think this does not get talked about enough. It doesn't get enough love. Did not do a lot of work in the charts. So here we are. We'll talk about it now.
All right. I like it. Arnaldo.
Yeah.
Underrated album. Go.
So this is the greatest thing since bread came sliced. Does anyone get the reference? REM's Reveal. Very underrated album. Everyone loves to talk about Automatic, Out of Time. This is actually the second album after they became a 3-piece, after their drummer Bill Berry left the band. And here is one, actually, I think the first one after as a 3-piece was Up, but I think on this album is really when they became comfortable in being a 3-piece. And it's very underrated. There's Beach Boys influences all over this record. Mike Mills and Peter Buck were huge Beach Boys fans. There's some Beach Boys references, some of the most beautiful songs that Michael Stipe wrote on here. I've Been High, one of my favorite REM songs, is on here. And I'm really happy because I recently purchased an original of this because over the summer, I bought the reissue and I was like, wow, this is, it's pretty good. Mm-hmm. But it's one of the few REM albums that I didn't have an original of. So, and maybe in the freestyle, we can talk a little bit more about how revealing the original copy is. But
Arnaldo, that's one hell of a tease. I love it. You guys are just coming. You're getting it. Freestyle. People stick around. I like it. Beautiful. Oh, and Tim, University of Vinyl, my man, says, agree, Reveal is strong. And you got the thumbs up emoji. So it's serious business. You're getting the thumbs up emoji. Cesar says, REM Up is an underrated album. I love all the songs on Up, and I agree with Arnaldo about Reveal too. Nice. I like it. All right. So I'm already in the shitter for just taking a big dump on Genesis. So I might as well just round it out because none of y'all brought the hip hop. None of y'all brought the street to this.
No way. I brought D.D. King. Are you kidding me? Come on. How dare you?
We're going to have a hip hop battle between D.D. King.
Yeah, come on now.
Hang on. I got some real tough guys, Jason. I don't have those vanilla tough guys. Now, you ready for this? 1996.
That's pretty good.
this is probably the beginning of the end of Ice Cube really being believable as a gangster rapper. Now, he's great. I love Cube, one of my all-time.
Anaconda.
No, because so I'm going to take you back. Hang on. I even have a sound effect for that. We got this thing. Hang on. It's the flashback. You ready for this? This is storytelling.
What?
So, 1995, Ice Cube makes this wonderful film, Friday. I'm sure everyone on the dais has seen one of the best comedies of the last 30 years.
Alicia.
Yeah, Arnaldo got it. Arnaldo gets it. And so then he gets back in the studio, and he gets back in the studio with a couple of his homies, Mac 10 and Dub C from Inner Circle or Mad Circle. And they cut the last great 90s hip hop album, in my opinion, West Side Connection, Bow Down. And here's why. Not only are the songs great, Bow Down, Gangsters Make the World Go Round, but this is the last album that I thought and I enjoyed where they really went after other rappers. In point, Cypress Hill, Be Real, they destroy him. And not just one song, but multiple songs. There are multiple digs. And that, to me, that's what gangster rap was all about, was just cutting people down. So Ice Cube, I mean, look at that Mean Mug. I mean, I believed it. This is the last time I believed it, because then after this, he started making them kid movies. And Are We There Yet? And he went after the checks, and I didn't know. All good. Then he had Mac 10. He was married to, I believe, T-Boss from TLC. He got in some trouble there. And then Dub C was just kind of left out in the cold. But Dub C still kind of kicks it with Ice Cube, when he tours and stuff. But this album, they had a follow-up that was okay. But this, 1996, Bow Down. And Bianca, if you're still watching this, this is something you need to listen to, because this will change your life. If you listen to West Side Connection, Bow Down. I wouldn't do it with any of the family in the car, because it's going to make you start mean mugging. But it's great. And we needed some hip hop on the channel.
And again, don't forget that Ice Cube was in arguably the best animal horror movie of all time, Anaconda, shortly thereafter.
This is true. I mean, now hang on a second. Jason's got a newspaper clipping. Jason, you're really bringing out the newspaper clipping?
That's right. D.D. Ramone's Rap and Roll.
Wow. I mean, honestly, I think when you pull out the newspaper clipping, Jason, I think I have to bow down and just give the mad respect on that one. But now my man, Drop the Needle Records, West Side, and they had the great hand signal. This is like one of the last things that like white guys could get around, like get off like doing this in public and not getting beat up. So I have to respect them for doing that. Even though it looked pretty stupid if I do it now in my advanced age. So now, Kevin, good call. I made a Friday reference to my 8 and 10-year-olds at dinner tonight. See? That's when Ice Cube was really touching lives. So, well, anyway, I think we had a good run of overrated, underrated, and properly rated. And the albums was a good recommendation, guys. So I think we did pretty well. But let's go ahead and wind this part down. And then we're going to get into Hot Take Central. I might have to put on some deodorant because I'm already starting to get lathered up about what I'm about to spit. So I want to thank my guests. First of all, our returning champion, Arnaldo, the channel's Fidelios_frequency. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. See, didn't dox. I'm still learning how that works, so we'll come back to that. And then Jason Roxas, the more mature of the Surface Noise programming Jasons. Thanks for joining us. And Michael
Mastered by Kevin Gray, maybe?
the only person I know that has that record. And then our two first timers. I'm very appreciative you guys came up. Bianca wanted to stay in his PJs tonight and sip a glass of chocolate milk. So I want to thank first Jason Arsenault, my second favorite Canadian behind Wayne Gretzky. So Jason Arsenault, I appreciate you coming on. Good times.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And then, my man, I got to give you the plug again. Hang on. I back up there. This guy gave me a T-shirt. I met him a couple weeks ago. Couldn't have been nicer. Great guy. Great channel. It's been a breath of fresh air to the community, especially because he goes about it the right way. That is Alex. The channel's Beer and Vinyl. Alex, I'm sorry I offended you with my Genesis destruction, but I'm glad you could join us.
I appreciate you, man. Of course, we all hear these things differently. Thank you for having me on. This was a dream come true, Chance.
Concert Buddie. The name is Concert Buddie. You can't give out my real name. Heaven forbid people know what my real name is because I have so much to hide from. So please. But anyway, thanks for joining us.
And that was another trip around the turntable. Thanks for listening to Vinyl Community Podcasts.